Welcome today to the James Ruggles Show. Today we have Cathy Venable, a tremendous musician, and she will talk a little bit about herself, her life in Tulsa and in New York City, on Broadway and around the nation. We had Cathy in a concert just recently, a Route 66 one, and we look forward to more in the future here in Oklahoma and around. Be sure to look at our website and also videos of our show, Arts in 66 in Oklahoma, and the James Ruggles Show. Enjoy! Hello, today we are with Cathy Venable, artiste superbo, whatever you want to say.
Sweet.
Cathy is from Tulsa, and I knew her back in high school and Tulsa Youth Symphony. And what do you kind of remember about Tulsa when you were little?
Well, I'm grateful for the Youth Symphony, but of course that was high school for me. How old were you when you joined the Youth Symphony? I was ninth grade, I guess, or 10th grade.
Yeah, I was in ninth grade also.
Okay. Before that, I just remember, Bell's Amusement Park. I remember Tulsa Little Theater that now has morphed into other things, where I saw my very first musical. I think that really got me excited about musicals because the cast came through the audience to go up on stage, and I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. I thought, I've got to be involved in musicals. What else do I remember? Pennington's Drive-In, where you could get really good pizza.
Crystals.
I remember that.
And Casa Bonita.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there were Shotgun Sam's. Wow, that was way back.
Exactly.
Then
you probably never took ballet, but I studied ballet at the Tulsa School of Ballet with Mossel and Larkin, who of course is one of our famous Native American dancers. One of the five. I can't remember what they called them. The five famous ladies.
From Osage. From Pawhuska, and Tall Chief.
Yes.
Also.
Yeah.
Tall Chief.
I was proud to have studied with one of those. I was not good at all, but I did it for 3 years, so that was fun to be part of that.
I never knew that.
That was before I met you, I think. I took ballet as a grade school kid. So
that is just tremendous.
Tulsa was a great place to grow up, wasn't it?
Yeah. Very family atmosphere, and there's just lots of culture, the melting pot of all, not all, but almost all the American Indian groups,
Right.
You have to go to your California tribes, really. There's quite a few that were not here in Oklahoma, but really a lot of those that were around Lake Huron or Quebec, Minnesota, a lot of those came down here, before it was officially a state. Yeah, we're lucky to have what we've got in that history. So, and as a kid, growing up in Tulsa, I had the greatest music teacher for me, John Townsend, who's still around. I need to call him Mr. Townsend. But at Barnard Elementary School, he was a wonderful music teacher. He taught us oral skills and music theory, and he made it all a game. So it was really, I'm so fortunate to have had Mr. Townsend for a music teacher. And solfege, do, re, mi.
Yeah, yeah, and all kinds of musical theory, how to hear intervals and recognize them and stuff that we just thought, this is fun. So that served me well in college.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I remember I had at Memorial High School here in Tulsa, Dan Call.
He's wonderful.
I had him for music theory, which was my last year in high school, which helped prepare me for my first year of college.
Yeah.
And of course, was in their mixed chorus with him, and so when we did musicals, he was heavily involved with that. Him and his wife, who was more of the choreographer and had to do with the drama.
Yeah, she's
a
great pianist too. She's good at all of that stuff.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, she is. Yeah.
And did you guys do the Holy Family concerts at that point? Because when I was working for him right out of school, I was the accompanist for Dan.
I think he took mixed. I think the concert chorus. I was in mixed chorus.
Okay. Yeah, they do an oratorio. They do it from memory. I just thought that was amazing for high school kids to do that.
That really is. Yeah. And I think the Latin. He would work in the Latin with them to
Yeah.
to memorize.
Yeah, I'm glad you had the Dan Call experience.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Dan Call was our Mr. Holland's opus.
Yes.
Tulsa, basically. He got that award,
That's right.
And the Richard Dreyfuss movie based on that, the award came about. And
Yeah.
so you are also involved with the Tulsa Philharmonic also, and the Tulsa Oratorio Chorus before you moved to New York. And what was that working with the Tulsa Philharmonic?
Well, I was really glad to get to be there during some of the Kenneth Jean years when he was the conductor. He was so wonderful. And before that, Bernard Rubinstein. But I was one of a few pianists. Roger Price was their main pianist in the symphony, but sometimes they'd need a harpsichord player or a second pianist. And I loved playing in an orchestra, of course, doing anything. I'd done the flute in the youth symphony, but it was so nice to be the pianist with the Philharmonic and have those experiences of playing the great symphonic works.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun. And then I was working at TU. After I worked for Dan Call at Memorial for 2 years, then I went to TU to be the staff accompanist there. And so I got to play for the Oratorio Chorus, which was another branch of what Dr. Byram did over there. And I loved that. We did that for 8 years together. And they would take really great trips in the summer and do concert tours over in Europe and Morocco and Australia. We went places I could never have gone on my own budget. So that was fun. That was great musical experience, getting to play those great oratorios with that group.
Did you ever go to Graz?
And I went to Graz one summer. Did you do that too?
I didn't do that, but of course in a bus I've driven by Graz.
Okay.
And I was looking out there going, Bruckner, looking at the churches out there.
And home of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And it's
just whatever.
yeah.
We saw a lot about him when I was over there.
Exactly, Graz. And Linz is what I'm thinking about.
Oh, okay.
Bruckner, actually.
Okay,
but,
sure.
But yeah, I drove through, through Austria from one side to the other on a train. Which was quite
that's the best way to travel.
Yeah. So you moved to New York City and you the Gilbert and Sullivan Society. I know that you had a connection there
Yes.
And you sang at a church choir in a scholarship or something. There's this.
Yeah, I got a paid singing job. They have a lot more of those, I think, in New York than a lot of other cities, but they've got a lot of paid choir singers for churches. There was this wonderful church called St. Bart's Episcopal Church, and they had a completely professional choir, so everyone was paid. And I auditioned and got into the alto section, so every Sunday I knew I was going to be there, and they did wonderful music. Yeah. So that was great. And because of my Gilbert and Sullivan stuff in Tulsa I'd done with the society here and light opera, someone saw that on my resume, and there's a wonderful G&S group there in New York called Blue Hill Troop. So I played for them for a number of years too.
Excellent.
So you never know what stuff you've done in your past that's going to come up and help you later in life.
Well, I noticed that with Chaney, what's his first name again?
Brian
Chaney.
Yes.
I really love his stuff. I especially liked from the year 1910.
Oh, good.
It's really fun stuff, folks.
Thanks for listening to
so
that.
if you like old Americana and you like what they used to have in the salons, etc., but or small concert halls and larger ones. Cathy is doing that with Brian Chaney, and
he came up with the idea to do a 30-minute concert of each decade of musical theater. So we've been recording those, and those are on YouTube. So we've done every single decade of musical theater now, and we also do other things, art songs and opera arias and that kind of stuff. But Brian's great. He used to come to Tulsa for Light Opera Oklahoma, so he has Tulsa ties as well. He loves this city.
Wow.
So thanks for watching this.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And you were, the big thing, folks, is that, and she led the Frozen tour, and she's led, as a pianist, as the pianist in the pit and conductor for Fan of the Opera, also quite a few of those around the United States. And The Sound of Music and a number of other musicals, and right there in New York City. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, yeah, that's been a really exciting thing to do. When I moved to New York in 2003, I thought, well, I want to do classical accompanying, of course, because that's my first love, but I also wanted to do Broadway work. So I contacted everybody I could, and finally somebody gave me a shot. So I started substituting on Broadway. So I'd be the person that would go in and play in place of the pianist if they were taking a night off. So you learn the book, you study as hard as you can, and you go in and watch them do this over and over, and then you have your date to go in and play, and you try to be as good as the guy that's there every night, which is really
problem
scary.
For you.
Well, thank you.
No problem.
I don't know.
Cathy.
It was terrifying.
Cathy, I've done gigs with her over the past. I'm honored to say that. It's been in 2000. We did 4 concerts within a few months of Beethoven, Brahms, and some various composers, and then now we got together for a Route 66 thing, which included a melding of jazz and classical. We did some William Grant Still, which is basically considered your dean of black composers. He's a male, though. And we found other female composers that we're real excited about that were black composers, and those are being revealed. So why don't you tell us more about tell about some of the different types of music that you did over there, and tell us first of all about being in the orchestra pit, and your experiences with the Broadway.
Oh yeah, that's really exciting. I always was amazed that when I would get to a stage door in New York, I was allowed to walk in. I love that. They're letting me in here. I started out with Wonderful Town, which was a Bernstein score, so that was very classical. And Light in the Piazza is also another really classical score written by Adam Gettle, who's the grandson of Richard Rodgers. Pretty neat legacy.
Yeah.
And I was never the pianist that you would call to do the improv-y, jazzy kind of stuff where you just get a lead sheet, but if it's written out, I would be the person that you would call for actual music that's written out and kind of classical in nature. But even things like Beauty and the Beast, they're a little bit more pop. I would do that, and Apple Tree. Oh, wow. I was so happy to get to do some Broadway work, and the one guy gave me a chance on my first show, and that set me up for success. So the conductor of Wonderful Town, which is a Bernstein score, knew he needed a classical pianist for that, so I got to come in and be the sub, and I work with Brooke Shields, so I was her accompanist,
cool.
which was really fun. She was delightful. And then from there, I guess it was word of mouth. Somebody'd call him and say, do you have a pianist that I could use for my show? And so I did Light in the Piazza, which was also really, really crazy classical score, which I loved. And then I started doing some of the more pop things like Beauty and the Beast, and eventually Les Mis, and a whole lot of different shows. But it was really fun to get to be in the pit of a Broadway show and see how that worked, and usually play the rehearsals eventually, so I get to know the cast, which I really liked, because it's fun to get to know the actors. And there were always things going wrong, and I have some fun stories of not anybody falling in the pit, but things falling in the pit. Although most pits have a net over it, so nothing really dangerous could happen. But there were things with power outages and the show stopping the middle and the set breaking down, and so I need to write all that stuff down. But musically, it was fun.
You need to tell me about some of those. Tell me about some of the actors and actresses too. Some of the crazy things that happened. That'd be very interesting.
So many things happened. But the nicest people that I ever worked with were David Hyde Pierce, who was in Curtains, which was a Candor show, and Brooke Shields was really sweet. It's interesting to know sometimes the most famous people are the nicest people, which was really surprised me. But
yeah, well, I understand. When they can, as long as they can, keep their feet on the ground, one foot on the ground, with everyday people, and that because you start missing that, and then you'll be well rounded and you'll be a better person,
right?
Which you are. That's the way you are.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, continuing on. I mean, you also accompanied when you were in New York City some different people that went to Yale and went to Harvard. They were doing their schooling there.
Yeah, I was really fortunate to meet a voice teacher named Doris Cross, who had a private studio in New York that I would play for one day a week, but she also taught opera. She ran the opera program at Yale. So I would go up to New Haven, Connecticut one day a week, and I'd play for the students up there. I was assigned all of the baritones and basses and tenors, so that was fun. I left the girls to somebody else. I got to play for all the men. That was really fun to get to do really high-level opera with those guys. And then in New York, I did a lot of opera accompanying as well. There was kind of a pool of pianists, maybe 8 or 10 of us, that would play all the opera auditions. So if an opera company, say Tulsa Opera, wanted to audition in New York, they would pick a day, pick a studio, and the singers would start calling all the pianists that normally did that. And I'd show up and I'd see the same 8 or 10 pianists, and we all became friends. So kind of a small world, but I was glad to do the opera accompanying and classical stuff in New York as well as the Broadway stuff. I probably talk about the Broadway stuff more because there are more fun stories there, but it's a great place to be a classical accompanist, which is what I studied to do. So.
Yeah, and I mean, some of those top clubs you got to sing in too. I would see some of those articles.
Yeah, I had a few exciting experiences getting to sing in New York, and not just church, but a couple of shows, and sometimes the cast of a show would do a cabaret night, and I'd play for everybody, but then sometimes I'd get to sing a few tunes as well. So that was really fun to do as well. And on tour, I got to do a little bit more of that, because we do fundraiser nights. Usually we pick the biggest city we were in where we could really make some money for a cause. Usually Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, or some charity. And we do a cabaret night. And then I get to do a little singing as well as playing, which was fun.
Sweet.
So.
Yeah. So now at this, I mean, right now you're in Tulsa and hanging out. We really appreciate you doing that.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
You bet. Yeah. So we'll be seeing more of her doing different concerts here for now. And I mean, Bartlesville Symphony you just did a few months ago, and that was an awesome concert.
That was really exciting, and I'm glad you were on that too. That was really fun. So
I was just hanging out.
You were playing the heck out of that violin, so that was fun to get to do that. You were leading the section. It was fun, and Lauren Green was very nice to ask me to fill in and be the guest artist on that. Got to sing a little bit, play a little flute. Dance a little bit, play the piano, so I'd love to do something like that again. But Tulsa's my home, and I'm so happy to be home. I've missed it.
We are so
forever.
glad to have you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. I'm glad to be putting my roots back down. So on Route 66 and beyond, anywhere in Tulsa.
No doubt. All right. Thank you so much, Cathy.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching Tulsa's Arts Gem, Cathy Venable. See our other videos and our recent concert on YouTube, and be sure to come back to watch our future videos on the James Ruggles Show. Thank you, and have a great day.